Right now, Arsenal Football Club finds itself at one of the most delicate and important crossroads of its entire season. The international break has arrived at a moment when every single decision made inside London Colney could define whether this club lifts the Premier League title or watches it slip away in the final weeks. Players are leaving international camps, injuries are piling up, transfer conversations are already beginning for the summer, and somewhere in the background, the Manchester City financial charges case is moving toward a conclusion that could reshape English football entirely. This is not a quiet international break, this is a defining one. And for Arsenal supporters watching closely, what is happening right now, today, in these hours and days, matters enormously. So let us break it down piece by piece, starting with the most urgent stories and working through every detail that affects this club going forward. Before we go deeper, let us be clear about what is actually at stake here. Arsenal have led the Premier League for 31 game weeks. That is not luck. That is not circumstance. That is the product of a squad and a manager operating at an extremely high level for a sustained and consistent period of time. But leading a title race and winning a title race are two very different things. The margins are tight, the pressure is enormous, and right now, with multiple key players withdrawing from international duty due to physical concerns, the question being asked inside every serious football mind is simple. Can Arsenal get their most important players back fit, fresh and ready before the final push begins? If you want deeper analysis on stories like this, stories that go beyond the headlines and into what they actually mean for Arsenal Football Club, hit that subscribe button right now. This channel exists to give you the full picture, not just the noise. The Manchester City situation and what it means. Let us start here, because this story is the one that sits underneath every conversation about this Premier League season. Arsenal News posted a message on March 28th that deserves to be read carefully. The message stated, and these are the words used, that rival fans have started complaining about boring titles and favours if Manchester City receive points deducted. The Post argued that Arsenal did not jump to the top overnight. They have led for 31 game weeks. The Post also made a pointed observation. If the teams in third and fourth cannot compete even with all the drama surrounding City, then what exactly have they been doing all season? Now let me give you my analysis of that. The Post is making a legitimate point. 31 game weeks at the top of a Premier League table is not a fluke. It reflects consistent performance, consistent management and consistent squad depth. If that lead exists regardless of what happens with City, then the argument that Arsenal's title would be somehow gifted is not supported by the evidence on the pitch. But here is where the City situation becomes its own story entirely. Matchday Central broke down the 115 charges facing Manchester City in detail. 54 of those charges relate to failure to provide accurate financial information between 2009 to 10 and 2017 to 18. 14 charges relate to failure to provide accurate details for player and manager payments during the same period. 5 charges relate to failure to comply with UEFA regulations, including financial fair play between 2013 to 14 and 2017 to 18. 7 charges relate to breaches of Premier League profitability and sustainability rules between 2015 to 16 and 2017 to 18. And 35 charges relate to failure to cooperate with Premier League investigations between December 2018 and February 2023. That is 115 alleged breaches across a 9-year period. The scale of this case has no comparison in English football history. Now, a Colombian journalist and broadcaster named Cesar Augusto Lundo, who carries 1 million followers on the platform formerly known as Twitter, made a significant claim this week. He stated that Manchester City would be sanctioned with a deduction of 60 points for the 115 breaches of financial fair play. He also stated that the official announcement of the punishment will be made before the end of the current season, and that this sanction would take the club to last place in the Premier League and condemn them to relegation. My analysis of this is straightforward. This is a claim from a journalist, not an official ruling. It has not been confirmed by any independent commission or Premier League body. However, the reasoning behind a large points deduction has been supported by football finance experts. Kieran Maguire, a respected football finance expert, appeared on a major platform and stated that we are probably into the final reaches of getting a decision. He estimated that somewhere between 40 and 60 points deducted would be consistent with precedent based on what Everton and Nottingham Forest received for smaller offences covering shorter periods. His logic was clear. If a single offence over 3 years produced 4 to 6 points deducted, then a 9-year period covering far more serious charges would logically require adding a 0 to those figures. Keith Wyness, who has held executive roles at Everton and Aston Villa, stated that 60 points would make sense and that it is the sort of penalty he would expect if City were found guilty. He also acknowledged there would be an appeal, which would likely reduce any initial sanction. Now, here is the really important part for Arsenal supporters. If a 60-point deduction were applied to Manchester City right now, the club currently sitting on approximately 61 points would drop to a negative points total. Arsenal would be 10 points clear at the top. Aston Villa would be second, West Ham would escape the relegation zone, and bottom club Wolves would still be 29 points above where City would sit. The Premier League, it is important to note, cannot relegate Manchester City to League One or League Two because that is an English Football League decision. Any punishment must come in the form of a points deduction within the Premier League itself. The situation is still developing. No verdict has been delivered. Manchester City have strenuously denied all charges and have stated they possess a body of irrefutable evidence in their defence. The hearing ran for 12 weeks between September and December 2024. The three-person independent commission panel has still not delivered its outcome. The reality is that nobody outside that process knows the result yet. But the expectation, based on the timeline and expert opinion, is that a decision is coming before this season ends. The injury crisis and why it defines Arsenal's season, this is the story that affects Arsenal most directly and most immediately. Arsenal Radar posted a detailed injury update during this international break that every Arsenal supporter needs to understand clearly. Let me take you through it one by one. Noni Madueke. He was substituted off just 38 minutes into England's 1-1 draw with Uruguay after a collision with Rodrigo Aguirre. He was seen wearing a knee brace and is expected to return to London for assessment. His potential return date is listed as unknown. Iberechi Eze. He picked up a calf injury during Arsenal's Champions League clash against Bayer Leverkusen. He missed the Carabao Cup final and could be out for 4 to 6 weeks. His potential return date is late April or early May. William Saliba. He sustained an ankle injury after the Carabao Cup final and has withdrawn from France international fixtures. His potential return date is April 4th against Southampton in the FA Cup. Leandro Trossard. He has a hip issue and withdrew from Belgium duty. His potential return date is unknown. Martin Odegaard. He has a knee injury and missed the Carabao Cup final. His potential return date is unknown. Gabriel Magalhaes. He has right knee pain and withdrew from Brazil friendlies. His potential return date is unknown. Jurrien Timber. He sustained an injury earlier this month and missed Netherlands friendlies. His potential return date is April 4th against Southampton in the FA Cup. Mikel Merino. He has an ankle injury and his season is described as likely over for Arsenal. His recovery is being carefully managed. Now, let me give you my analysis of what this list actually means. 8 first-team players are currently dealing with physical issues of varying severity. The confirmed long-term absence is Mikel Merino, whose season appears to be over. Odegaard, Trossard, Gabriel and Madueke all carry unknown return dates, which is the most concerning category because unknown means no timeline, no certainty and no planning. Eze, Saliba and Timber have some projected dates, but even those are subject to how recovery progresses. For a club competing on multiple fronts, including the Premier League title race, the FA Cup and the Champions League, having 8 players either absent or in doubt is a genuinely serious situation. The depth of the squad will be tested in a way it has not been tested before at this level under Mikel Arteta. Now add to this what Fabrizio Romano reported about Declan Rice and Bukayo Saka. Both players left the England camp for what was described as a medical assessment. John Stones and Noni Madueke also returned to their clubs due to injury. Aaron Ramsdale, Fikayo Tomori, Adam Wharton and Dominic Calvert-Lewin also departed the England camp. But from Arsenal's perspective, the key figures are Rice and Saka. Adam Keys, a football journalist, made a very important observation about this. He said, and I am summarising his words, that Declan Rice and Bukayo Saka are vital for Arsenal's run-in. He praised England boss Thomas Tuchel for not pushing them to play through knocks, given the minutes they have already accumulated this season. He suggested their recovery could be extended by the Southampton rest and urged that no risks should be taken. In a separate post, Keys described a full 2-week break for Saka and Rice as huge. He noted they have played so many minutes and have more than proved themselves for England. He called this a significant boost for Arsenal and noted it is right out of what he described as the Pep playbook. He also pointed out that Mikel Arteta is clearly taking no risks following what happened to Madueke. Arteta is managing his most important players with exactly the level of caution that a title-winning squad requires. The decision to withdraw Saka and Rice from international duty rather than push them for 1 or 2 more games is a calculated and intelligent one. These are 2 of Arsenal's highest minute players this season. They are central to everything the team does offensively and in midfield. Protecting them now gives the club its best possible chance of having them fully available for the games that matter most in April and May. The comparison to the Pep Guardiola approach is interesting. Guardiola became well known during Manchester City's dominant years for managing player minutes and using international breaks strategically for recovery. If Arteta is applying the same philosophy, that tells you something about how he views this moment in the season. He is not leaving anything to chance. Piero Hincapié in the defensive concerns. Fabrizio Romano reported that Piero Hincapié left the Ecuador camp and is returning to London with immediate effect following medical tests. The Arsenal defender will be assessed by the club's medical staff during the upcoming week. This is the latest development in what has become a concerning pattern for Arsenal's defensive options. Hincapié has played 33 times this season since arriving from Bayer Leverkusen and has quickly established himself as an important part of Arteta's squad. His versatility has made him valuable across multiple positions in defence. The situation is described as precautionary rather than serious at this stage, but precautionary does not mean comfortable. With Gabriel Magalhaes also carrying a knee issue and William Saliba managing an ankle problem, Arsenal's defensive resources are stretched. Losing Hincapié for any extended period, even if unlikely at this stage, would be a significant blow. He now joins Saliba, Gabriel, Saka, Madueke and Rice in returning early from international duty. The number of players making that journey back to London Colney during this break underlines just how intense this season has been. The spirit and mentality inside the dressing room. William Saliba spoke about Arsenal Football Club and his words are worth examining carefully. He said, and I am reproducing his meaning accurately, that losing the Carabao Cup final hurt the team a lot. But he described the squad as mentally strong. He said the pain of that defeat has been used as motivation and that the team is now even more focused and hungry to finish the season the right way. Those are not empty words from a player doing a routine interview. Saliba has experienced the high points and the painful points of this season. He knows what it feels like to fall short. The fact that he is channeling that pain into motivation rather than doubt is exactly the kind of mentality that separates a squad that can win titles from a squad that comes close. James Trafford, speaking during the international break, gave a positive assessment of Ben White. He described White as obviously a top player who has been brilliant during the week of training and noted that everyone really likes him and considers him a great character. This kind of comment from a fellow professional getting a close look at White in an international environment reinforces the quality and professionalism that White brings to any group. Player news and international highlights. Christian Mosquera, the Arsenal defender, was asked about his decision to choose Spain over other international options. He explained that he has a long history with the Spanish youth national teams. He described himself as very calm and happy with the decision and said that his family has always supported patience as the key to opening doors. He also expressed his belief that Spain are among the favourite teams for the upcoming World Cup. In a separate quote, Mosquera spoke about his move to Arsenal directly. He said he made the right decision by moving to the club, that he is very happy in London with the life he is living and that he is very pleased with the change. Spain boss Luis de la Fuente added an interesting dimension to the David Raya conversation this week. He acknowledged that in England, David Raya is considered by many to be the best goalkeeper in the world. However, he stated clearly that Unai Simon is indisputable as Spain's #1 and that everything else will come in its own time. This places Raya in an unusual position, highly regarded by his club and in the country where he plays, but unable to dislodge the established Spanish #1 for his national team. Kai Havertz gave an interview during the Germany international camp that revealed his mindset heading into the final stretch of the season. He described himself as a very flexible player who feels comfortable in all offensive roles. He noted that he leads by performance rather than speeches in the dressing room. And he stated clearly that he is challenging himself to be very successful at the World Cup. Germany boss Julian Nagelsmann offered his assessment of Havertz. He said that if Havertz reaches peak fitness, he is on the same level for Germany as Florian Wirtz, Jamal Musiala and Serge Gnabry. He described him as a potential game changer. This is a significant endorsement from a national team manager. The fact that Nagelsmann places Havertz in the same category as some of Germany's most talented players tells you that the belief in his quality is very high. For Arsenal, having a player of that calibre available and motivated for a World Cup year could be extremely important. Jurriën Timber was in attendance as a spectator for the Netherlands match against Norway. Having withdrawn from the squad due to his injury, he showed his support for the team despite being unavailable to play. This confirms what Arsenal Radar reported, that his potential return date is around April 4th for the Southampton FA Cup match. Transfer rumours for the summer. Now let us address what is happening on the transfer front. And I want to be very clear with you here. These are rumours and reports at this stage. Nothing has been confirmed. No deals have been completed. I will flag clearly what is confirmed, what is a rumour and what is speculation. First, on incoming players. According to a report cited by reliable German journalist Christian Falk, Arsenal are currently the favourites to sign 21-year-old German striker Nicolo Tresoldi from Club Brugge. The club is described as seriously interested, with talks already underway. Here is the player profile based on the information available. He was born on the 20th of August 2004, making him 21 years old. He is a Germany under-21 international. He has had a strong 2025-26 season at Club Brugge, scoring 13 goals and adding 2 assists in the Belgian Pro League, along with 3 goals and 1 assist in the Champions League. He is valued in the 22 to 30 million euro range. He is described as a young, high-potential centre-forward who could provide depth and long-term value in the Arsenal attack. This is early-stage interest at best. The journalist Christian Falk is described as reliable, which gives this more credibility than a random speculative report. But talks being underway does not mean a deal is close. It means conversations have started. At 21 years old, with strong numbers in Belgium and the Champions League, Tresoldi represents the profile of young, high-potential striker that clubs like Arsenal are typically attracted to. But this is a name to monitor rather than a confirmed signing. It is described explicitly as early days in the summer window. Now, on outgoing players, a report via Team Talk, which was shared by Arsenal Muse, claims that Atletico Madrid are interested in signing both Gabriel Jesus and Gabriel Martinelli from Arsenal. Let me be very clear, this is a rumour from a media outlet. It has not been confirmed by Arsenal or either player. The details reported are as follows. Jesus is 28 years old. Martinelli is 24 years old. Both are described as having experienced reduced roles at Arsenal this season and are now seen more as squad players. The claim is that Arsenal would not stand in their way if either player chose to seek a move elsewhere. For Jesus specifically, a return to Brazil is described as a genuine option he is considering for this summer. A move within Europe is also described as still on the table, with Atletico Madrid named as among the clubs to have made initial contact. For Martinelli, the report claims he is firmly on Atletico's radar. RB Leipzig and Marseille are also mentioned as clubs monitoring his situation. He is not expected to sign a new deal at Arsenal at this stage, according to this report. The report also mentions that Arsenal have shown interest in Atletico Madrid forward Julian Alvarez. However, sources cited in the report insist that Atletico's interest in Jesus and Martinelli is not directly connected to any potential Alvarez deal. Reduced playing time for Jesus and Martinelli this season does appear to be a reality based on what has been reported. If the club is genuinely comfortable with their departures, it suggests that Arteta's vision for the squad's future does not rely heavily on either player going forward. The reported link to Tresoldi, a young striker, could support the idea that Arsenal are looking to refresh their attacking options with a younger, developing profile. But I want to be clear, these are separate rumours and connecting them is speculative. The transfer window is months away and much can change between now and then. On this day in 2023, legendary former Arsenal manager Arsène Wenger was inducted into the Premier League Hall of Fame. He became only the second manager in history to receive this honour, joining Sir Alex Ferguson as the first and only managers to be inducted into the division's highest individual recognition. This is worth pausing on for a moment because it puts the current Arsenal journey into perspective. Wenger built something at this club that transcended trophies and titles. He built an identity, he built a culture, he built a standard of football that made Arsenal a globally recognised name in the sport. And now the club he shaped finds itself leading the Premier League, pushing for a title that would be the first under Arteta and the first for the club in a long time. The connection between Wenger's legacy and where Arsenal sit today is not incidental. The club that Wenger built, even through difficult years, maintained a belief in attractive, intelligent, structured football. Arteta, who played under Wenger, carries elements of that DNA in his own management approach. The current squad, with its emphasis on technical quality, positional discipline and collective identity, echoes what Wenger spent decades building. Wenger's induction into the Hall of Fame in 2023 was recognition of that legacy. And in 2026, the club he loved is on the edge of adding another chapter to the story he started. Let me bring this all together for you now. Arsenal are in a genuinely complex and demanding moment. The injury list is long. The key players returning from international duty are doing so for rest and recovery rather than for competitive reasons. That is both a concern and a sign of intelligent management. Arteta is not gambling with his most important players. He is protecting them for the moments that matter most. The Manchester City Chargers situation remains unresolved, but is moving toward a conclusion. Whatever that conclusion is, Arsenal's position at the top of the Premier League was earned on the pitch over 31 game weeks. That fact stands regardless of any external developments. The transfer window is months away, but the early conversations around both potential incoming players and possible departures tell you something about how the club is thinking ahead. Young, high-potential additions, squad players being allowed to move on. That is the profile of a club building for sustained success rather than short-term fixes. The players who remain available are hungry. Saliba's words about using the Carabao Cup pain as motivation were not performative. They were the words of a professional who has tasted near success and wants to go one step further. William Saliba, Declan Rice, Bukayo Saka, Kai Havertz, Christian Mosquera, Jurrien Timber targeting a return by April 4th. These are the players who will define the final weeks of this season. Their form, their fitness and their mentality will determine whether Arsenal make history or fall just short again. The situation is clear, the work is not done, but the foundation is stronger than it has ever been. This is Melissa, Arsenal analyst. If this analysis gave you a clearer picture of where Arsenal stand right now, subscribe to the channel and share this video with every Arsenal supporter you know. The season is entering its most critical phase and we will be here for every development, every story and every moment that matters. Come on, Arsenal.